Redditors, where have you received a lifetime ban from? What did you do? Have you ever tried re-entering said place? Did you get caught? My brother has a lifetime ban from Kickstarter for trying to start a Kickstarter to raise funds to buy Kickstarter. Try Indiegogo for the same project, and still make it to buy Kickstarter. That'll show him. Revenge is a dish best served confusingly. I am banned for life from the Mall of America for throwing bouncy balls off of the 4th floor. I wasn't trying to hit anyone. I just wanted to see how high they would bounce. I go to the mall every couple months like a bad butt. I've never been caught. I can no longer drive in Virginia because I never paid a speeding ticket, since I was just driving through it to get to New York. Embassy Suites. Not me, but my brother. He was a young kid who had just moved to California and was trying to make ends meet. He discovered the free breakfast and free cocktails at the Embassy Suites near his apartment. Those are intended for guests, of course, but if you look like you belong in a place, people don't usually ask questions. He got away with it for 6 months before they caught him. I was very impressed. I am going to find one of those near me and hang out at the bar with a suitcase once a month. Sears. I stole candy when I was 11 and the head of security was in butthole. In my defense, I weighed a piece of candy on the scale and it said $0 on it. I just kept weighing the pieces one by one. I like to think I was more of a genius than a thief. Placed an order for a pizza from a local pizza place. Found out they wouldn't deliver. BC the tenant who lived in my apartment before I did bounced a check. I explained that that person had moved out. They told me the ban was on the unit number, not an individual. I called back and placed the exact same order but had it delivered to neighbor across the hall. Became the standard way of ordering from that pizza place. So under special instructions, delivery instructions, put deliver to the 3 feet of space directly adjacent to apartment number. Please knock loudly on the wall upon arrival. If they ask, tell them you're a wizard and the walls like platform 9 and 3/4. Wearing a kilt to a strip club is apparently frowned upon. You should have screamed free Adum while doing cartwheels. I have a friend who was banned from a local grocery store for stealing. This was in a small town and it was the only grocery store for miles. The next day, he got a call from his identical twin brother asking why he was just thrown out of a supermarket. This is perfect. Both of you should show up at the supermarket and explain the situation. Then you can always go to the store and just say you're the other twin. Got banned from Club Penguin for calling someone a dong after losing a sled race. I've got a lifetime ban from eBay because I took them to court for overcharging and taking money from me. Apparently having the audacity to hold them to task for wrongdoings gets you a lifetime ban. Still going through the courts in the UK. OP, you missed a prime topic to use the stories tag. At any rate, there's a crappy gym sports club in town. I was banned from it at age 8. I went there with the scouts to do swimming or some other crap. All us guys came out and hated how we smelled like chlorine since the pool was caked in it. Next logical step, let's use the sauna. Now this was a wet sauna. For whatever reason, they let a group of 8-year-olds use it alone. We didn't know what the heck we were doing, so a fire started. Then they banned us. Goddamn scouts can start a fire anywhere. I am banned from the local Burger King. In 8th grade I, along with another kid, changed the reader board to say $3 2 fish dongs or something along those lines. Needless to say they weren't impressed. The other kid got caught and ratted me out as the sole performer, leading to me being banned but not him. I went back a week later and enjoyed a chicken tender crisp sandwich. Key Largo Houseboat Rentals. The Boatle in Key Largo, FL. My girlfriend and I went there expecting a hotel experience just as the place advertises. Well, we get there and have to pay the week up front. It was about $800. The place turned out to be a total crap hole. The boat smelled like mold and within the first few hours, water dumped out of the ceiling AC unit and onto my girlfriend's head. While showering the next day, the water was cut off. We decided to complain but the owner accused us of lying about everything. We came up with an elaborate lie about how we have to leave for a family emergency and need a refund. Nope. Well, somehow my girlfriend's crazy aunt got the place's number and called to be the owner out about how the place sucked and we deserved a refund. That's where he caught us in the lie and kicked us out at 10 PM. We ended up getting a refund that's to the crazy aunt, which was nice. Gotta love the crazy aunt. A Barnes & Noble in North Orlando. I was with a friend who was removing the CDs from their plastic wrapping. I didn't see him doing this as I was busy trying to decide which album I was going to buy. Once I leave with my purchase, my friend and another friend were already outside, but had been stopped by a security guard. They bring all three of us into a back room and then a real police officer shows up and asks how they want to handle this. Since nothing was actually stolen, we were given a trespass warning and told never to come back. My friend's house. I crap a crap so bad that they had to call a plumber to unclog it. They call me Shittler. My friend did that at my old apartment. We didn't ban him, but the toilet was never the same. Walgreens. I went to pick up a script for something that is deregulated and this woman just didn't like me. She told me I looked shady and refused to fill my script and told me I was banned from all Walgreens. I never felt so judged and mistreated in my life. I went there for the medicine my doctor prescribed, and because the pharmacist had political views, she used the fact that I wasn't in my hometown against me as proof I was trying to con the sites for dope. She called me shady in front of a lot of people and made it seem like I was a criminal. Those are things you take people to court for. Banned from a hotel in northern Wisconsin. We were there for a wedding, and for whatever reason everyone came to my room for the after party as we were all in the same hotel. And while we weren't overly loud or raucous, unfortunately unbeknownst to us the block of rooms on either side of mine were reserved for guests in town for the funeral of a child. Sensing it was getting a little too loud, too late, I herded everyone outside and down to the lake about 300 yards from the hotel. This prevented me from answering dozens of phone calls from the front desk. I went to check out the next morning. The clerk asked for my room number, and when I told him he instantly turned, "Well, cold. Have a good time last night?" "Yeah," I replied. "Fun wedding. Well, it would be best if you never came here again, ever, for any reason. Now smile." He took out a Polaroid, this was decades ago, and took my picture and pinned it to the wall. To this day I still feel bad and unsure how it got to that, but it was a fun wedding. Spain. They don't like it when you're an illegal immigrant working under the table. I have a lifetime ban from the Hobby Lobby in my town. I got into a huge fight with the fabric lady. The store advertised 50% off seasonal fabric, so I bought this cute pumpkin pattern that was in the bin. As I went to check out, she informed me ever so rudely that Halloween wasn't seasonal, it was a holiday. This turns into a yelling match about why it was in the seasonal 50% off bin then, which accumulated into me being banned, because they can't handle my realness. Ain't nothing realer than holding it down at the Hobby Lobby, arguing on seasonal versus holiday discounting. I got banned from a local bank branch for taking the bowl of lollipops. I went back a few weeks later to get some more lollipops and they remembered. "So, you robbed a bank of lollipops." Nextdoor. It's a private social network app that is based off the neighborhood you live in. I was a member and quickly realized my neighbors are stuck up, self-righteous jerks and pointed that fact out and subsequently got my account banned. I tried creating a new account and got a message stating we're sorry but Nextdoor accounts cannot be created from that address any longer. Weird thing is, my wife's account is still active from our address. You can't fight with your neighbors, man. They know where you live. I personally never did, but when I was working for a big electronics retailer, yeah, that one, we banned a customer because he was abusing the return policy. We had our suspicions that the guy was a digital camera reviewer of some kind, because he kept buying cameras, not cheap ones, good expensive ones, and returning them 2 days later saying it was simply a bad product. At first we believed him. Not everyone has the same criterias when it comes to cameras, but he kept doing it, even for some models that any professional would have agreed were really good. After the 15th time, we told him he was not welcome in the store anymore. A few weeks later, we learned he started doing the same thing at a competitor. I caught a guy who had a lifetime ban from Disneyland when I worked there. My job was to wander around and get survey information from people for marketing purposes. Terrible job. Everyone hates you, but better pay. Usually I'd talk to people waiting outside a bathroom or waiting for the parade to start. They are too bored to hate you much. Win-win. I talked to this one couple in their early 50s. Very friendly. We're building a rapport. And one of the questions is, when is the last time you came to Disneyland? Right away the wife starts laughing and whacking her husband's arm. He seems pretty amused too, and confesses that it's his first time since he was 15, because he had a lifetime ban. Apparently he and some friends had hopped the fence back in the early 70s, back when there was a fence you could actually do this to, and had been caught. They all got dragged down to Disney jail. There are so many tunnels underneath Disneyland, and had their pictures taken, and given their ban. He figured it had been long enough now that he would get away with it. I entered 20 plus years on my survey and left it at that. Awesome guy. Surprised he admitted it, but they were already leaving anyway. Lol. I commented below, but my grandpa got a lifetime ban from Disney for hopping the fence back in the 60s, possibly the late 50s. He was trying to surprise my grandma, who worked a ticket booth thing or whatever they were back then. He was caught and asked to never return to the Magic Kingdom. They went there every year at least once up until the 80s, and only a handful of times since the 80s. My ex-girlfriend's glory hole, because I told her she looked hot in an old picture of her sister. I was banned from my ex's glory hole too. Sucks cause that is where everyone hangs out. So, my group of family friends that played Lineage 2 together got pretty tired of the game and started botting it. For those of you that don't know, botting is when you get a program to play the game for you while you sleep. You can earn a lot of extra gold experience that way, but it is very, very frowned upon. We had the bot set up so that one guy could play the game live, and the other 10 people behind him would just aromatically attack anything he hit. Well, of course we got reported. GM appears with an in-game character and accuses us of botting. My brother-in-law was the one playing at the time and tries to engage the GM in a conversation to prove he was not botting. The GM walks up and smacks my brother-in-law's character. All bots turn and fire on the grams. All of us. Banned for life. Aromatically, just imagining 10 dudes following this guy farting on everything. There's a pretty cool underground club in my town. The owner's girlfriend didn't tell me she had a boyfriend. Comet underground club. Those subterranean living enthusiasts are finicky. Canada. Was deported for a weapons charge once, and a drug charge the second time. The second time I was told not to come back. Whoa. Banned from an entire country. That's something to tell the grandkids. Well, it wasn't a lifetime ban, but Barnes & Noble. I rented a textbook from them and somehow they fricked up my return date. So I missed my deadline to return it, which was 2 months before my class was over. I tried to print my return sticker after the class was over and couldn't figure it out. So I called customer service, who told me my book was overdue. They refused to take the book back and charged me $106 to buy the book. I'm like, I don't want the book. Take it back. They wouldn't. I told them I wouldn't pay for it, since they got the return date wrong. They didn't care. They dicked me around talking to different people for like a month. Then I finally just disputed the charges. BN never responded to the credit card company asking about the charges, so they gave me the money back. Anyways, probably 2 years later, yes, I hadn't shopped there in that long. I tried to buy something online since someone gave me a gift card. It wasn't going through, so I called customer service. Apparently they had locked my account because I was a troublemaker. The customer service lady apparently didn't give a frick and unlocked my account, so it all worked out, I suppose. I got banned from a Gmod City RP server. I got voted to be a police officer and kept sending mods to jail. Six Flags. During the long way to the top of the stairs for the giant funnel water slide you ride down in a tube with several others, I decided rides were not worth the wait. I jumped out of my tube on the slide down and was running up the sides of the funnel and sliding down. The security got me after I did a swan dive through the tube, and took me to the security headquarters and even took a mugshot. This whole ordeal lasted about 2 hours, but the cheers and glory I got from the patrons in line are everlasting. Haha, I work at a water park in the summer and we will occasionally have slide races like that before we open. A lot of the slides can be run up backwards without a tube, but if you take one false step you're done. All in good fun, but I swear to God if I caught a kid doing it I would make his life heck. Suuru much paperwork. I'm banned from a local liquor store because one day, I was handed a bag with 2 bottles of rum inside of it along with my regular purchase. I didn't notice until I got home, but I was accused of theft and banned from the store the next time I went there. I started college trying to expand my boundaries by doing a computer-focused new media program. We were on a quarter system, and by the middle of the first quarter, all my classes being 2D design, film editing, a really crappy intro programming course, and other crap I hated. I knew I wanted to transfer into a normal CS degree. I was mentally checked out the second I got the ACATS for programs. It was easier since I had programming experience and the media program was part of the computing program anyway, and started finding teachers to figure out what I'd be behind on and what I'd need to do to catch up on that first 10 weeks. Well, when we got back to start the winter quarter, in the middle of some Halo 1 LANing on OGS boxes, a freaking state trooper shows up to my dorm room, asking to see me. I had no clue WTF I was in trouble for. I was the lamest of little nerds, never did anything wrong, and then it hit me. Remember how I said I had a film class that I had mentally checked out of? There was a final project we had to film, and we were instructed to use these fairly expensive HD Sony digital camcorders, think $5,000 Proxima devices, to do it. Yeah, it was sitting under my desk in my dorm room the entire break. I turned in the edited project, didn't even go to the last week's class. Teacher knew I was freaking out and said you're fine, and I forgot all about this thing I had to return. So half my dorm floor escorted me to the other side of campus to return the stolen expensive as frick camera, where the full-time employee who was in charge of millions of dollars of camera equipment proceeded to chew me out and say how I was fricked because I was banned for life and I'd never be able to complete any of my assignments and how I'd better just pack up and quit now. And when he was done I just said, dude, I already transferred to CS. Can I leave now? A bunch of my friends were still photo kids, so I'd hang out around there all the time, but he couldn't ever do anything about it because I wasn't ever trying to rent equipment. I was asked to not return to the youth group I went to in high school. The pastor was in front of 600 teenagers, making gay jokes and making fun of mentally challenged people, so I called him out on it. He got mad. Good freaking reason to be banned, I'd say. Someone like that doesn't belong in that kind of position. I am banned from my hometown Chick-fil-A. In elementary school I played baseball. Chick-fil-A was one of our regular after game hangout spots. We would all get food and sit together and talk while the moms mingled. You know. Well, for my birthday, which happened to be mid-season, I got a new bat and I loved it. My teammates were envious and so I let them use my new bat when it was their turn to swing our next game. Then to our surprise, we won. This had never happened before. We were all somehow believed that it was all because of this magical bat. My friends and I then got in my mom's minivan and drove to Chick-fil-A to celebrate. We decided to take the bat inside to hopefully continue our good luck in some way. I still remember running uncontrollably through the big glass swinging doors, jumping in excitement before it happened. I had gone in with my cleats on, eliminating any possibility of traction on the hard tile floor. So I slipped, bats in hand. The bat smashed into the soda dispenser full blast and an assortment of carbonated beverage began flowing out uncontrollably from the machine. My mother was horrified and began apologizing, but to no use. I was banned. 2 years later, however, and without the baseball hat, I had grown up enough they couldn't recognize me and was able to go in without being ashamed. I am now a senior in high school, still playing some baseball, working at the same Chick-fil-A I'm theoretically banned from. They don't remember me. I got banned from that career sub asking if is this sub real or just a joke, because if it's real, your leader is dipshit. Well, insulting Kim Jong-un while on a North Korean submarine is generally not a good idea. My childhood friend's house. I went over there, and then she bitched me out for pouring sand on their playset, which I genuinely didn't do. But also, who cares if I pour sand on your kid's playset? She still lives there, and I see the kid sometimes. He runs everywhere and looks like he is strung out. That was a weird family. She gives me a look like I am the devil every time she sees me. I can't tell if you did this as an adult or as a child. Walmart. About 18 years ago, I was working as a union organizer and kept going into a Walmart to talk to workers there about the benefits of the union. I would talk to 2 or 3 people, and then a manager would catch me and kick me out. The second time I was told to not come back, but of course I did. The third, fourth, and fifth times I was charged with petty trespass. The sixth, seventh, and 8th times I was charged with petty trespass and breaching a court order. The 9th and 10th times I was charged with petty trespass and contempt of court. In court dealing with the 10th charge of petty trespass, 3 breach of court order and 1 contempt charge, we reached a plea agreement. I consented to a lifetime ban from Walmart. The union agreed to stand surety in the amount of $10,000 for any breach of that ban in the process of conducting union business. I was given a conditional discharge on 1 count of petty trespass, and the rest of the charges were dropped. On a side note, I was arrested by the same cop every time. He and I got to know each other a bit, and until he got transferred to a different province we used to get together for coffee once a month or so and argue politics. We had some pretty interesting conversations about the role and function of police forces, the value or lack thereof of community oversight on police, and a really interesting debate regarding xenophobic cops. Are they created by taking non-racist cops and having them deal with a particular ethnic group all the time? Or are they already racist and just now have enough exposure to a particular ethnic group to really shine? Damn it, Terry, you gotta stop trying to form a union. Sorry man, I'll go wait in your car. Yeah, let me just get the info from the manager again. Feminism. But it's not what you think. A few days ago I said in a post that feminists generally consider society at fault for stereotyping women, not just men, and that feminism is about teaching everyone, women included, to not hold old-fashioned stereotypes. I was banned instantly for this. Turns out our feminism is run by a man who bans many feminists for having accepting or non-extremist points of view, while at the same time allowing a great number of anti-feminist posts. There are several subreddits dedicated to trying to get him removed, and allegations that he is doing it all to make feminism look bad. I was arrested for shoplifting from Target back in the late 80s. I tried stealing a Nintendo Power Glove. Anyway, I was banned for life from that store, which no longer exists, but as soon as I was able, I went right back into the same store and bought a Nintendo game. No fear. I love the Power Glove. It's so bad. I was beat up by a Bible salesman and banished from Woolworths. Not sure if it was the one branch or all of them. You. Smack. Need. Smack. Jesus. Smack. When I was 12 my friends and I went down to the roller skating hall in my old town. We lit some sparklers and threw them near some propane tanks. There was no malice intended. We weren't looking where we threw them. The owner saw it, freaked out and kicked us out, then banned us for life. Like a month later we ended up going back. I got banned from our piercing. Apparently, butthole piercings aren't a valid suggestion. James Way, my brother and I were caught stealing a bunch of stuff, which included some album on cassette. I want to say it was No More Tears by Ozzy. It was in a strange box and for some reason they thought it wasn't part of the haul. So they gave it back to my brother. They told us never to come back. It's been really hard staying away all these years. Slightly ashamed owner of a lifetime ban from Walmart. My idiot friends and I used to go to Walmart from time to time and play the game of who can get kicked out the fastest. My buddy pulled a pretty good stunt and got kicked out in just over a minute, so I decided to shoot for the sub 60-second mark. I sprint into the store like it's a Black Friday and they're selling 55 and TVS for a 5 spot and make a beeline for the toy section. Remember those tall metal containers with the bungee cords around them containing the kickballs? Target sighted. So I blow past what I assumed to be a manager as he wore the obnoxious look of abuse of authority on his face while shouting at me to slow down. I pay him no mind and approach the container. About the 15 seconds in and I know I'm on track for a win. Crouching I spread the 2 lowest bungee cords apart, letting loose a torrent of kickballs down the main aisle. They flow out for a couple seconds before I let the cord snap back into place and promptly run along behind the balls, kicking them forward and screaming, "Be free, my children." Mr. Manager Man comes around the corner and quickly adopts the slack-jawed look of complete shock on his face for a moment before recovering, turning red and screaming at me to get the frick out and never come back to my store. "You little The end of the sentence died on his tongue as he realized several other patrons were now enjoying the show. He waded through the kickballs towards me, but I quickly headed for the door before I could be forcibly removed, all the while being assaulted verbally, and rightfully if I'm being honest, by this manager. Hit the doors at a sprint and screamed time at my shocked friends. 34 seconds. The new record. Of course, my friends thought I was lying right up until the manager himself came blazing through the door, hot on my heels. Been back a few times without having a hit placed on me or anything, so I guess it worked out okay for me in the end. We were such stupid kids. A particular Kroger, grocery store, they didn't like two drunk guys doing whippets from the cans of whipped cream. I worked as a security guard and got some kids thrown out of a store for that. You guys would just pay for the goddamn whipped cream. No one would care. But snorting it and putting it back on the shelf gets the cops called. Was a hysterical 911 call. Cop was amused too. A church in my town. During CCD some kid was saying some rather vulgar things about my older sister, so I punched his freaking lights out and tried to break his head open on the ground. Knowing your sister, those things were probably true though. You have been visited by the hamster of joy. Comment I like chicken to live a happy and full of joy like the joy hamster life. Like and subscribe you magnificent person.